Did you know that every breath you take is thanks to a volcano? Before they were mountains of fire, they were the lungs of the earth. Beneath your feet, at this very moment, beats a heart of fire. We tend to see volcanoes as sleeping monsters, capable of erasing entire cities in a paroxysm of ash and lava. But the reality is much stranger. Without this incandescent chaos, you wouldn't be here. Neither the oceans, nor the atmosphere, nor life itself would exist without the open wounds of our planet. Seen from space, Earth looks like a serene world. A blue planet covered by oceans, clouds, and silent continents. But this image is an illusion. Inside, our planet is an ocean of fire. More than 4.5 billion years ago, at the dawn of the solar system, Earth was nothing more than an incandescent sphere. A chaotic world battered by countless cosmic impacts. Among them, one would change everything. An object the size of Mars, known as Theia, collided with the young Earth in an event of unimaginable violence. The energy released was so intense that it melted much of the planet, ejecting material that would eventually give rise to the Moon. But it also left something else behind: heat. An internal heat that persists even today. This heat is the invisible engine that drives our planet's dynamics. It generates currents in the mantle, moves continents, and gives rise to one of nature's most impressive and terrifying phenomena: volcanoes. Without them, Earth would be a dead world. Without the volcanic eruptions that released primitive gases, the atmosphere would not exist. Without the water vapor expelled from the interior, there would be no oceans. And without oceans, there would be no life. Volcanoes are both relentless destroyers and the silent architects of the world we know. This is their story, and we're telling it to you here at Doka Discovery. Volcanoes are not all the same. They exist in multiple shapes, sizes, and behaviors. Each one tells a different story about the depths of the planet. A story written in fire. Some rise like perfect giants, nearly symmetrical. Tall, imposing, and silent for years until they wake up. These are stratovolcanoes. Mountains like Mount Fuji or Mount Vesuvius represent this classic form. But behind their beauty hides extreme violence. Their eruptions are explosive. Columns of ash reach miles high. Incandescent rocks fall like rain. Glowing clouds descend at incredible speeds. They are perhaps the most dangerous volcanoes on the planet. Others, however, tell a different story. They don't rise in abrupt peaks but expand slowly, as if the Earth were exhaling. These are shield volcanoes. Broad, sprawling, and hypnotic. In places like Mauna Loa, lava flows almost constantly. It doesn't explode, it advances. It flows slow and inevitable, forming rivers of fire that travel miles before cooling. Here, destruction isn't instantaneous. It is persistent. In some corners of the planet, these landscapes reach almost surreal levels. In the Dallol region, the Earth seems to belong to another world. the ground is stained with impossible colors. Intense yellows, acid greens, and deep reds are just some of the hues that adorn this place. Minerals pushed from the interior paint the landscape like a chemical masterpiece in constant flux. But this beauty is deceptive. Temperatures are extreme, and gases are toxic. In some spots, the ground can burn or dissolve anything that touches it. In other regions, the spectacle is even more dynamic. At Mount Yasur, the activity is almost constant. Regular explosions light up the night. Fragments of lava shoot toward the sky while the crater roars like an ancient engine. Here, the planet doesn't whisper, it speaks loudly. Further west, at Kīlauea, lava flows like an endless river. During prolonged eruptions, the entire landscape is transformed. The earth opens, rock melts, and new territories are born before our eyes. From the air, these scenes look unreal. Drones reveal immense craters, open scars in the Earth's crust. Gigantic calderas, like those in Yellowstone National Park, show that a colossal force can hide even beneath tranquil landscapes. Up close, the story is even more intimate. Every crack, every bubble of lava, every fragment that cools and turns into rock is part of a continuous process of transformation. The contrast is overwhelming. Beauty and danger, creation and destruction coexist here at every moment, reminding us that the planet we inhabit is never truly at rest. And yet, from destruction, life emerges. When a volcano erupts, the landscape is devastated. Entire forests disappear. The ground is covered in ash. All seems lost, but this is only the beginning. Volcanic ash is extraordinarily rich in minerals. Over time, it becomes some of the most fertile soil on the planet. Where there was once desolation, a new ecosystem rises. First come simple organisms, then plants, then animals. In some regions, this fertility sustains some of the most spectacular ecosystems in the world. The great animal migration between the Serengeti and the Masai Mara is due to the fertility of these lands. Thanks to the volcanic ash from Oel Doinyo Lengai, one of the most fertile plains on the planet is created, feeding more than 2 million animals simultaneously. This shows us that great animal migrations depend indirectly on volcanic activity. The released nutrients enrich the grasslands, feeding entire food chains. Life doesn't just survive, it thrives. Volcanoes don't just destroy habitats, they create them. But the relationship between humans and volcanoes is complex. Throughout history, eruptions have caused devastating tragedies. Entire cities have been wiped off the map in a matter of hours. In ancient times, Pompeii, a prosperous city, was buried under ash and rock following a sudden eruption. Its inhabitants were frozen in time, preserved as silent witnesses to the power of nature. But it's not just history. Today, millions of people live in volcanic zones. Why? The answer is simple: soil fertility, natural resources, and the beauty of the surroundings. But the risk is constant. In recent times, eruptions have forced mass evacuations. Entire communities have had to flee their homes, sometimes with only minutes' notice. Lava moves slowly, but it does not stop. Ash covers cities, collapses roofs, and disrupts daily life. Volcanic gases may be invisible, but they are lethal. Science has made enormous strides in predicting eruptions. Sensors, satellites, and models allow us to anticipate behavior, but volcanoes remain, in many ways, unpredictable. The Earth holds secrets we still don't fully understand. Now, let's look at some special cases, the supervolcanoes. There are volcanoes that don't behave like the others. They aren't cone-shaped, they show no obvious signs, and yet, they are the most powerful of all. Supervolcanoes are systems so vast that an eruption doesn't build a mountain, it destroys it. The ground collapses in on itself, forming enormous depressions called calderas. Beneath the apparent tranquility of Yellowstone lies one of these sleeping giants. A colossal magmatic system that has erupted several times in the planet's history, the last time approximately 640,000 years ago. The caldera of this supervolcano is massive. It occupies a huge portion of Yellowstone, roughly 1,500 square miles. You could fill 155 million Olympic-sized swimming pools or 388,000 large stadiums with its magmatic material. Imagine a city made entirely of stadiums stretching for hundreds of miles. Every single one would be overflowing with magma. If Yellowstone were to explode today, its effects would be global. Columns of ash would cover entire continents. Sunlight would dim. Temperatures would plummet. A volcanic winter capable of altering the planet's climate for years. But Yellowstone isn't alone. It has a companion, the Lake Toba supervolcano, a destroyer with a force hard to imagine. This supervolcano is so large that the lake we see is practically its crater. If Toba were to explode, ash would scatter across the globe, the climate would shift drastically, and some scientists believe the human population would be critically reduced to the brink of extinction. These events are extremely rare, but that doesn't mean they couldn't happen at any time. Today, science monitors these systems with constant attention. Ground deformation, thermal changes, and seismic activity are all studied, but the reality is clear. We cannot prevent an eruption of this type. We can only strive to understand it. Our planet never ceases to surprise us. There is one place on Earth where fire and ice coexist, where the creation of the planet happens in the open air. That place is Iceland. Located on the mid-Atlantic ridge, a gigantic fracture where two tectonic plates are slowly pulling apart, Iceland is literally a land in the making. Here, the Earth's crust opens up and magma rises with relative ease. The result is a unique landscape, fresh lava fields, immense glaciers, and active volcanoes beneath the ice. When fire emerges beneath ice, the result is explosive. The heat melts the glacier. Water remains trapped until it finally escapes, unleashing sudden floods known as jokulumps. In recent years, Iceland has showcased this process in real time. Eruptions like those from the Fagradalsfjall system have captured the world's attention. Here, the lava flows slowly, almost accessible, almost hypnotic. People can get close, watch, and witness the creation of new land. But this proximity doesn't eliminate the danger. Iceland also serves as a reminder that even seemingly calm eruptions can change in seconds. And yet, this country has learned to live with the fire, it harnesses it. Geothermal energy powers homes, heats cities, and sustains life in a hostile environment. Iceland doesn't just show the power of volcanoes, it shows how humans can adapt to them, live with them, and, in a way, depend on them. Volcanoes remind us of something essential. The Earth is not an inert object. It is a living, dynamic system. Each eruption is a manifestation of that internal energy that has existed since the planet's origin. It is a sign that the Earth's heart is still beating. And though they represent danger, they are also necessary. Remember that without them, there would be no atmosphere, no oceans, and no life. They are, in essence, the balance between creation and destruction, a reminder that our world is in constant flux and that we are only a small part of that story. Don't forget to support us by subscribing to Doka Discovery, leave us a comment, a like, and share this content. Until next time.